when you move away from the people that you just, pull up on, the people you have an impromptu barbecue with, the people that, what you doing, girl? Nothing. I'm coming over. Okay. Those people are now gone. And I often ask myself, to what extent was it worth it? Hey y'all, and welcome to Let's Talk Sis. I'm Shekinah, your host, and as we spend time together, I can promise you 3 things. I'll be honest, I'll make you laugh, and I won't hold back. Let's Talk Sis is your essential girl talk destination where you'll hear about life from the perspective of a Black woman in America, as our stories often go untold. I can assure you, while honest, we are a community for growth and love. Remember to like, subscribe, and share the podcast. Now sit back, relax, and let's talk, sis. Welcome back to Let's Talk Sis, a safe space for Black women who are deeply emotional, have not felt seen, heard, or valued. Sis, we have room for you here, okay? My name is Shekinah, and I am your host, and this is absolutely my most favorite place to be, so I am so excited that you are deciding to join me for this week's episode, okay? And this is a community. Let's Talk Sis is not just about what I have to say, but also what you want to talk about. So I want to hear from you. So if you have a timeline topic, a let's talk topic, a topic, anything that you want to have a conversation around or you feel needs more light, please hit me up in my email at the Let's Talk Sis pod@gmail.com. Okay. I would love to hear your feedback because this is a brand all about promoting authenticity in conversation. Okay. We are here to heal, grow, and inspire our audience. So if you love what we're doing and you want to keep the conversations going, you can support Let's Talk Sis and buy me a coffee. Okay. Your support goes to helping to improve our team, improve our content, and keep this mission moving forward. All right. So every contribution, big or small, really does make a difference. So I appreciate your support in that arena. You can tap the link in the show notes or visit buymeacoffee.com/Let's Talk Sis to show your love and support for our community. All right. All right, we got the preliminaries out the way. Let's get this party started. Okay. Whoop, whoop. Y'all, I'm excited. Listen, okay, things are moving forward. Okay, I talk a lot. I know I talk a lot, but I also do a lot. And there's a lot being done behind the scenes, all right? Right now, if this is your first time checking out this episode, you're already missing the beginnings of the doings of the things because we are live recording the episode, okay? We have created a space online for people to join in on the conversation, give me their opinions, give me their thoughts as I'm talking throughout the podcast, okay? This is our sisterhood, and it is a real good time, okay? They get to chime in and have their opinions heard as well. So if you would like to join the sisterhood, we are live every Friday on TikTok and on YouTube, and you can join the chat and get in on this good, juicy conversation, okay? Now, we are also growing, okay? We are only 103 downloads away from 5,000 audio downloads. Now, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do with these numbers. I just be thinking like, dang, y'all don't listen to me talk 5,000 times. Like, that's really incredible. And it also makes me want to be even more, responsible and intentional about what I'm saying over this microphone, because when I first started this was a purely selfish effort, if you will. It was purely because I had stuff I wanted to say and I needed somewhere I could say it. So I bought a mic and I started a podcast, okay? Very self-motivated. But as I've grown, as we have grown, as this community and this sisterhood has grown, I'm really inspired by the support and by the feedback and by the growth to create a solid, safe, healthy, happy foundation for us and community for us. So I appreciate everybody who has been listening. I appreciate everybody who downloads, who taps onto my little purple square, whatever platform it is that you are deciding to use. It does not go unnoticed. And so I just want to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Shout out to all of you guys. Okay. Nice job. And another fact. Okay. I know I also, like I said, I know I be talking, but I'm also doing a lot. We have posted 85 episodes since the inception of Let's Talk Sis. 85 episodes, okay? 85 weeks of my life have been dedicated to providing y'all with content, with talks, with conversations, with intentions in order to help promote authenticity. And I'm excited to get to our 100th episode, which will be here in no time. But again, I just want to say thank you guys. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for supporting this little dream that I have called the Let's Talk Sis podcast, okay? It does not go unnoticed on me that you guys are out there and supporting. Okay, so let's continue to support. Let's continue to grow and share this with somebody. Share this with somebody you love. Share this with somebody you think needs to, find a safe space for authenticity. That's what we're here for. Okay. All right, it's time for our timeline topic. And this week, our timeline topic comes from Miss Yara Shahidi. I believe that's how you say it. From the Optimist Project podcast. All right, here we go.
It takes a lot of work to show up this positively. I'm grateful that this is my baseline and how I show up in the world. And it's a choice. Every single moment.
Literally.
Every single blink, every single look is something I'm thinking through because this is how I feel best showing up. But it's not to say it goes without extreme effort. So talking about the moments you've had to navigate, the darkness that's made your light sustainable.
Well, I think
how do you face that without fear?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's a choice. Mm-hmm. It really is a choice. And I think, a lot of people see that in the world. They're like, oh, they're light, they're bright, they're always so positive. But usually those people have seen some of the darkest stuff and continue to choose light.
Okay, so this week's timeline topic is about, the misconception and misunderstanding that I think a lot of us, especially if you're a creative, especially if you're in the content creation space, the motivational space, the life coach, therapy, professional space, it's very easy to assume because we show up in this positive tilt, this positive lean on life, on situations and perspectives that we just woke up like that. That we just woke up ready to get on this podcast and smile and tell our business and say the things that need to be said for somebody else, right? To find joy or happiness or peace. And I think that is extremely dangerous to assume that of those people, to assume that we don't have hard days, to assume that there's no work in arriving to this state of mind, because you take it for granted, right? You become expectant that these people are going to show up happy-go-lucky and, encouraging and motivating all the time. And then the moment you see them broken, you don't know what to do. You don't know how to show up for them, or you freeze because you never expected that you would have to maybe show up for this person in this way. They're the strong one, right? They're the happy friend. And as they mentioned in the clip, oftentimes those people have to navigate in their minds some of the worst conditions. And so their disposition is so opposite of what they're going through, just to strike a balance, just to kind of become even kill, if you will, in how they're able to show up and be in the world. And I think also to people who see those people and are like, man, I wish I could be more like them. I wish I could be more jovial and have more, expression of joy and peace, etc. give yourself the credit to understand that it takes work. It takes time. These people did not just wake up like this, and you too can put in the work. You too can put in the time, the energy, the effort to, you know, assemble some sort of, you know, joy, excitement, etc. for your own self, right? Give credit where credit is due. We gotta give credit to the fact that these people, these examples of joy and light, they are putting in the work. They're being intentional about choosing the peace. They're being intentional about choosing the joy, because let's not get it twisted. They could also choose darkness. They could also choose hate, misunderstanding, misrepresentation. It is not as if we don't have that choice either, right? Because it's so annoying sometimes when people approach me as if my joy and my happiness and my lighthearted spirit is inherent. And yeah, maybe I do have a little extra of that when God was mixing me up. Maybe he put a little extra of that in my pot. But it doesn't mean I don't have to work. It doesn't mean I don't have to choose. It doesn't mean I don't have hard days that I also have to do the mental gymnastics of getting over. So if there are any people in your community that you revere as the happy one, the one you can go to, the advice friend, the one to pick you up that you lean on a lot, I really want to encourage us to reach out to those people, allow them a moment, right, to lean back and not be held as weak for it, or not be tainted now because of it. Oh shoot, she has weak moments, you know, she must not be all that. Don't put anybody ever on a pedestal, right? Allow people to be human and to express and to be weak in some moments, and not always have to find joy. Let me bitch and moan real quick, you know, let me complain in this moment. I will pull myself up, because that's what I do. You know, I will get to the other side of this issue, but for now, you know, I want to be upset. I want to be irritated. And I want to encourage us, you know, just to look out for those people within our own communities, and really offer them some support in however we can. So checking into some of the comments from the sisterhood, I see, woo, it is a conscious and difficult choice. Yes, it is not always easy choosing the peace, choosing the joy, because like I said, sometimes I am pissed. What you did really, or this situation, is freaking annoying. I don't like it. It doesn't make me feel good, but I'm going to choose to lean into the joy that I can find. That's so true. We make intentional choices to operate in the light. Exactly. All right, y'all. So before we get into our Let's Talk topic of the week, I want to tell y'all a little bit more about our internship program, the Found Her Future Collective. Jada, roll the clip. Okay, awesome. And don't forget, we have a new podcast we're premiering next month. It is called From Auntie with Love. It is for aunties from different walks of life, sharing our perspectives in this world. Let y'all check it out. I don't know if y'all can tell or not, but we're excited.
Hey y'all, welcome to From Auntie with Love, a sisterverse of Black women reimagining life together.
They told me to put a pinch of brown sugar.
Who is they?
Who is
they?
She's like a cookout.
I'm trying to think back.
drop right.
You don't want to like go to a lounge. 4 aunties in different seasons of life with stories to tell, thoughts to spill, wisdom to drop, and side eyes to give.
That's how we'll have a mindful moment, a mindful booty moment.
Okay.
I'll lead us through a mindful booty moment.
One of my newfound commandments is that I will hold space for change and forgiveness.
Do not show up to anywhere that I do not know that you are coming, especially my house.
You're gonna find me with a drink high in the air in one hand and my body low.
Yeah. Let's get into the conversations that don't usually make it to the table, but they should. With love. Always.
With that being said, I want to get into this week's timeline topic of the week, okay? This week, we are talking about loneliness, okay? Loneliness is a very layered spectrum-esque thing, if you will. I think that there are levels to it, and I think we all experience some level of loneliness, some level of feeling alone and individualized, set apart, you know, and sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes it's not. For me personally, I wanted to talk about this because I moved out of state from my hometown, right? I decided after college, I was dead set on moving out of Battle Creek, Michigan, Kalamazoo, Michigan, and any area of the sort. And to this day, I absolutely do not regret it. However, it definitely came with its sacrifices. It definitely came with being okay in my decision. There are people who move away and you move back home. That wasn't going to be my story. I don't know why, or I know why in essence, you know. I don't look around Battle Creek, my hometown, and see inspiration. I don't look around and see things that make me want to gravitate towards the city and be more in the city, in that space, in that environment. I see a lot of things opposite of that. And so that for me is why I was and still am so adamant about not living there ever again. So with that being said, you know, I had to come to the conclusion that when I moved, I had to be okay with giving up the things I was going to give up. And I knew from a very young age that I was moving. And so I also knew I decided that I was not going to truly invest in relationships in Battle Creek, Kalamazoo, because I'm leaving, right? And I know how I am. I'm attached to people. I love them. It makes it hard to leave. I've watched enough movies and enough rom-coms to know that, you know, girl falls in love with guy, and now girl doesn't chase dream because guy is in Akron, Ohio or something to be a freaking accountant at his firm, or, you know, whatever. Like, I just did not want that to be my story, right? And even when it came to dating, you know, I looked around at my options and ew. Okay. So I was like, I'm leaving. Leaving comes with those relationships that I did have, those friendships that I did have and had developed, because I had friends, right? I had people I was rolling with every day. We was cool in each other's business, et cetera, et cetera. Those relationships would become strained. There are only so many and certain ones that will sustain the test of distance and time. Fortunately, I do have a handful of friends that I am still in contact with, and we are still cool. But as I was saying to another friend, there is a level of satisfaction that I will not have out of that relationship because we're not together. I am someone who is a a split introvert extrovert. I'm 70% I say introverted and 30% extroverted. I do fuel from being in my own space, watching my shows, listening to my music, working on my project, doing my my DIYs, etc. But then there's also this portion of me that thrives on community, thrives on being in community, making other people laugh, and joking and hanging out with people. And I enjoy that. That gives me joy and fuel. And so when you move away from the people that you just, pull up on, the people you have an impromptu barbecue with, the people that, what you doing, girl? Nothing. I'm coming over. Okay. Those people are now gone. And I often ask myself to what extent was it worth it, right? Was it worth dismissing myself of the potential of those relationships flourishing to go and find myself somewhere else? And 10 times out of 10, the answer is yes. There are moments where it's like, damn, I want to go to the Galentine's Day. I want to go to the whatever party that so-and-so's having. I wish I could have attended X, Y, and Z, but I don't think I would. I know for a fact I wouldn't be the person that I am becoming today. And that person I love, that person I enjoy, that person will be okay not going to the Galentine's party, But I do want to have this conversation because I think that people like me, people who have made a choice that requires sacrifice, we don't often get the space to vacillate or lament or feel sorry for ourselves about that choice, right? People will say, well, why would you move? What did you think was going to happen when you moved? Well, why did you go somewhere where you didn't know anybody? And what did you expect, right? And well, I don't know how to make friends in my adulthood. That's why it could never be me. That's why I could never, you don't find spaces where people can or people choose to relate and allow you to, kind of express yourself in that way. And that in and of itself is lonely. Now, there are also people, because I'm in a relationship, I've been in a committed relationship for the past 5 years, who will say, well, you have a partner, right? You're with your man, you live with your man. Like, how could you be lonely? And to them, I say, I get it. Right there, I've experienced both. I moved single. I was single for years and years and years and years and years, excluded from my family. Right. I moved from Battle Creek at 21. Well, yeah, 21. I didn't meet my boyfriend until 25. So, and I'm now 30. So I guess I've spent, equal time, in both seasons, and the loneliness is absolutely different. There's absolutely, I think, a heavier, more jarring, in your face feeling of loneliness when you are single, right? Because you do sleep alone. But I think there is a ghostly, sometimes sinister, just under the surface feeling of loneliness in a relationship that can really do damage as well. I think that when you're alone and lonely, you can internalize that, right? You can work that out. You can fill in those gaps with like other people, other things, a book, a this, or that, just chalk it up to, eventually I'll find my person. But when you're lonely and experience loneliness in a relationship, it can certainly develop a sense of resentment for your partner, because you do look at that motherfucker like, why are you here if I'm still feeling like this? Why am I even choosing to engage and deal with the whatevers if I'm still going to feel by myself, right? If I'm still going to feel alone. And I think it's easy a lot of times to slip into those crevices when we don't create space for communication, when we don't allow ourselves and the partners to express what we're feeling, because we're internalizing these things. We're internalizing these thoughts. I'm afraid of our future. I'm afraid about this. I'm worried about that. And because I'm not sharing that with you, I'm I'm holding it all in and I'm feeling alone. And now because I'm feeling alone, I'm looking at you crazy. Like, why are you here? But really, you should be here. You're here to support me, but I'm not sharing. So there's this cycle that just does not serve any sort of healthy relationship, right? And so those people who are like, well, you're in a relationship, how can you feel alone? I would encourage instead of asking that question, ask, well, what are you holding on to that you're not sharing with your partner, right? That's typically where that, in my experience, comes from. So let's see what somebody in the sisterhood is saying. Loneliness manifests in different contexts. Our romantic relationships aren't the only relationships that we need to foster. Exactly. And to that point, even if I'm in a relationship with my partner, as she's saying, I also yearn for my girlfriends. I have a podcast called Let's Talk Sis. Okay, I love being in spaces with other women who are smart and funny and interesting and educated and who get it, who are with what I'm with, who are for what I'm for. And there's a different energy that vibrates in the girls' room. There's a different dopamine hit that I get in the girls' room that my man could never fulfill. No matter how much, I don't ever want him to even try, because now why you don't need to be a bad bitch, okay? Like, that's not what I'm looking for out of my man. And so that also, I encourage us to not dismiss, our friends in these relationships in assuming that because they have a partner that they don't experience loneliness. And also, there's something that happens where when you get in a relationship, you're going to go into hibernation for the first couple years. Absolutely. And it was hard for me to really understand that in my singleness, right? When my girlfriends would want to be ducked off with their mans, constantly choosing their man over their girls. I was the one like, girl power, why are these dudes ain't nothing, why are you choosing them over us? Why, they just gonna leave you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And in a lot of cases that was true. Dudes was not worth more than the bottom of my shoe. But in some cases they do find a good person, right? And a person that they actually do want to spend their life with and build with. And so there will be this season, this time where you may not hear from your girlfriend for some years. And I know my experience definitely then became, well, now I'm out the loop. I'm not actually interested in going to this club and that club and looking for this one and that one. My interests have changed, right? But I still love you, friend. I still care about you. I still want to hang out and engage, but I'm not going to be out here like I was. I simply don't want to sacrifice my relationship for that. Also, I'm not interested in that anymore. And so now there's this readjustment, retooling of the relationship, if you will, that in my experience does not lead to more intentionality in terms of let's figure out how we can intentionally grow and become closer in this new season, but just more distance, more see you when I see you. Let's just chat online. You got it. You with your man, you good. And so I think there's responsibility on both ends of that communication street, right? To put myself out there and make sure people know I am available. We are not attached at the hip. We did not have hip surgery. I can still and do move independent of my partner, right? But also, a reach out, a check in, a hey, a setup of, I think, is what I'm going to encourage us as a community to be more proactive within in our own personal communities. Okay, so that's just a few things. Now I do want to discuss how I kind of get over it or deal with it. And I will say that when I first moved, it was hard, man. It was really, 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 really hard. I was motivated by a little bit of spite, a little bit of ambition, a little bit of excitement, a little bit of, I don't want to mess up this opportunity. There was a mixed bag of motivations there, but I would cry a lot. I would cry a lot by myself. I drank a lot of wine, solo, because it was sad. It was lonely, but eventually I kind of had to just accept it. This is what it is, and I will be okay. I will be okay, right? I think it often starts there for me. It's telling myself I'll be okay. And then I just learned how to fill in my time. I'm a big podcaster, watcher and creator, right? I watch a lot of podcasts. I am a reality TV girl. I find that I, engulf myself kind of in these communities, in these other people's, storylines to, these my online friends. These are my friends in my head, right? I'm involved. I have found ways, essentially, is what I'm saying, to find community that can meet me where I'm at. I don't lean and loathe into the fact I don't have any friends. I'm alone. I'm by myself. And I might say that for about 5 minutes. I'm not gonna lie. I'll get in my, feels for about 5 minutes, but at the end of the day, I gotta keep it going. I gotta keep it moving. And I have been recently much more intentional about putting myself out there, letting people know, hey, I'm looking to connect. I'm looking for friends. I'm looking for sisters. I'm looking for women who want to pour into me, who I can pour into, who like to kiki, who want to hang out, who want to do the things, who are interested in reciprocal relationships. I'm taking the bull by the horns, if you will, and being intentional about finding my people. And it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. It takes energy. It takes thought. On our co-working session this past week, we spoke about collaborations in a business sense, and that when you collaborate, it is wise to know upfront what matters to you, not only choosing who's good on the project, but does their core values align with your core values? Does their work ethics align with your work ethics, and their thought processes align with yours, so that the collaboration can be the best it can be? Not only are you looking, well, do they have the qualified skill? Because they can have the qualified skill, but they operate on a totally different spectrum as you. And I think the same thing goes with friendships, right? When we're looking for friends, we have to decide and have to know, what do I need? What matters? What's important? What's not important? And be honest with ourselves about that, right? If somebody is lying about little things up front and you don't deal with liars, nip it in the bud. If somebody is constantly showing up late and you can't stand a late person, nip it in the bud. But it's important to know what matters to us, so that we don't get caught up in this matrix, in this web, in this system, before it's too late and we end up hurting ourselves. Okay. Making friends as an adult is hard. We definitely have to put ourselves out there 1,000%. So that's just kind of my little 2 cents on loneliness. I just wanted to speak on that because, I want to encourage anybody else who may feel like, I committed to this process. I committed to this project. I committed to this thing, this relationship, this move, this whatever it might be. And maybe one of the consequences of that commitment was some severance or some sort of distance in relationships that's maybe caused you to feel lonely. I want to encourage you, to feel okay to express that, because there's such pride in my choice to move away, and there's such pride in my choice to be in a committed relationship. So sometimes it is hard to admit when the things you are proud of come with some things you just don't love, right? And that's life. I think we take the good with the bad, but we choose which one we lean into, as we spoke about at the top of the show. So I hope this was helpful for someone. Before we wrap, I want to give you all a conversation challenge, okay? And this week, I want you to check on your strong friend, okay? For this week's conversation challenge, I just want you to check on your strong friend, go through your Rolodex, go through your Instagram, go through your TikTok, figure out who that person is, who you always are leaning on, who you know you can come to for a smile, and just reach out and ask them, how can I support you, friend? How can I support you? And if you want to be specific in how can I support you in this XYZ thing, how can I support you with XYZ, or in just a general statement. Ask them how you can support them and genuinely be ready for their answer. Now, if they are asking something that is above your capacity, be honest and say that, but say, hey, I may not be able to do this, but I can do that. I can show up like this, but at the very least, let's open the conversation, open the door for them to express areas in which they may need some support. Because as the strong friend, as the purpose pusher, as the one, we don't often have those spaces available to us, okay? So let me know what conversations, what things you guys realized or were told to you in the chat, and I would love to keep that conversation going, okay? So to connect with the sisterhood and connect with Let's Talk Sis more, you can find us on Facebook. Just search the Let's Talk Sis podcast. Here you'll find journal prompts every Tuesday to help address old issues, heal, grow, and inspire. There are also episode clips, special announcements, all kind of good content over there. And we are also posting every day on TikTok, so please follow us at Let's Talk sis podcast on TikTok, Instagram, all the things. And if you don't know, we are live every single day on TikTok, from doing content to podcasts, watchbacks to co-working with our TikTok community in the Kimberlyn Jackson universe. So please join us over there if you can. And lastly, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do so now. Okay, we are growing and showing our presence all over the internet. So I would love to have you guys join us and join the sisterhood and be a part of the conversation. All right. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see y'all back here next week. Bye bye.